In the Sacramento region, the average person uses about 200 gallons of water every day. Much of that we use for toilets, showers, laundry, and dishwashing. Then it goes down the drain and becomes wastewater. Most of us don't think about what happens to our wastewater or where it goes. In the Sacramento area, it eventually ends up here, the Sacramento River, but not before being safely cleaned and treated. Our community relies on the Sacramento Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant to ensure the water being released to the river is safe for the fish, plants, animals, and everyone else that lives here and downstream. Join us on a short tour to see how the process works.
Hello, welcome to the treatment plant. Are you ready for the tour? Let's go.
The plant is located in Elk Grove, California, and currently serves about 1.4 million residents and businesses throughout the Sacramento region. Thousands of miles of collection pipes deliver an average of 140 million gallons of wastewater to be treated each day. The treatment process starts here, where the incoming wastewater flows through bar screens that remove things like wood, rocks, and large debris that could damage our pumps and other equipment. The screened water is then pumped through large influent pipes on its way to the primary treatment process. First stop, grit removal tanks. The air movement in these covered tanks helps sand, gravel, and other heavy material, known as grit, sink to the bottom. The grit is removed and the flow continues on to the primary sedimentation tanks. In the large primary tanks, fine particles in the water sink to the bottom and form sludge, while fats, oils, and grease float to the top, forming scum. Fiberglass paddles sweep the bottom and top of the tank to remove the sludge and scum. The sludge and scum are actually useful byproducts that can be recycled. More on that towards the end of our tour. The exiting water, called primary effluent, leaves the primary tanks through large tubes that are suspended in the middle of the tank, away from the sludge and scum. Now we're on to the secondary treatment process. The primary effluent is sent to carbonaceous oxidation tanks and mixed with pure oxygen. There, microorganisms called microbes consume the oxygen and feed on any organic material left in the water. The effluent then goes to the secondary sedimentation tanks, where all those little microbes that are now fat and happy sink to the bottom. Some are recycled back to the oxidation tanks for another feast, while others are sent to a digestion process along with the sludge from the primary tanks. The remaining water is now about 95 to 99% cleaner than it was when it arrived at the plant. It flows out over a series of weirs on its way to the final treatment process, where chlorine is added to destroy any remaining microorganisms, viruses, and pathogens. The water then travels nearly 2 miles to an outfall station where the chlorine is neutralized. Samples of the treated water are then used for one final test. These fish must live 4 days in the treated water to make sure it's safe for all the aquatic life in the river. Finally, the clean water is released through an 800-foot-long pipe at the bottom of the river. The water exits through approximately 100 diffuser ports in the outfall pipe. So you've seen what happens to all our treated wastewater. Now let's go back to that digestion process mentioned earlier to find out what happens to our sludge. Solids that have gone through anaerobic digestion are pumped into large storage basins that are covered with water, where they remain for 3 to 5 years. After that, sludge from the bottom of the basins is pumped out and injected into lined land disposal sites, its final destination. From bar screens, through primary and secondary treatment, to solids disposal, and discharge to the river. The entire process is monitored and regulated by certified operators here in the control room, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But the monitoring doesn't stop there. This is the Guardian, the boat we use to collect river water samples both upstream and downstream of the outfall. These samples are tested in our lab to ensure we protect water quality. You might think the Sacramento Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant just treats wastewater, but actually, part of its mission is to recycle and produce valuable resources recovered from the process. After treatment, some of our water goes through additional steps to make it suitable for recycled uses, such as landscape irrigation. Delivered through a separate system of purple pipes, this water irrigates several public parks, ball fields, and landscaped roadway medians in neighborhoods near the treatment plant. Using recycled water helps conserve our drinking water, reduces our discharge into the river, and helps keep our community green. Another byproduct of our treatment process is methane gas, which is created by digestion of the primary and secondary solids. The gas is captured and sent here to the Carson Energy Facility, where it's burned to produce electricity for SMUD's power grid. And finally, some of the digested solids are sent to a biosolids recycling facility, where they're made into a commercial fertilizer pellet. At Regional San, we're always working on new ways to do things more efficiently and effectively, recycling what we can and helping to protect our natural resources. But as technology changes and new, stricter environmental regulations are implemented, we must change with them. Our treatment plant is undergoing big changes to treat wastewater to even higher levels in the future. To comply with new water quality rules, we're working on our next evolution of wastewater treatment, called the EcoWater Project. Learn more about it at ecowaterproject.com. For decades past and for generations to come, Regional San is dedicated to serving the community, protecting public health, and keeping our rivers clean.